Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. While the entire world right now appears to be obsessed with the Netflix British royal family drama series The Crown, there's a far more interesting, significantly more dysfunctional group of people running the biggest professional wrestling company on the planet. And according to a new report from PW Insider, the balance of power once destined to be passed from Vince to Shane, and then Vince to Stephanie, and then probably Vince back to Vince for a while, and then Vince to Stephanie or Triple H, has now gone to someone who isn't even related to the McMahons. Bruce Pritchard. Pritchard was Vince's right-hand man for almost 2 decades, first joining WWE in 1987. He was released in 2008, but 8 years later, unexpectedly found himself as the co-host of one of the most downloaded wrestling podcasts on the interwebs, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. With his name back in the title and the news, and still towing the company line on his shows, he was brought back to WWE's creative team in February last year. Just over a year later, outlasting both Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman in their respective executive director roles, he was put in charge of both the Raw and SmackDown writing teams. Pritchard was either a booking genius or someone who knew how to work within McMahon's very unique ways. PW Insider says WWE's overall current creative right now falls directly in the hands of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, with some describing Bruce as the most powerful person in WWE right now other than a McMahon family member. Creatively, everything flows through Pritchard at the moment, and his word has been described as very much the gospel for Vince McMahon. The report adds that this has started to cause a lot of frustration and heat towards Pritchard among talents privately. One of these McMahon-Pritchard creative plans is Drew McIntyre's latest entrance, which you could have guessed, as it started off as a really cool special pay-per-view level spot and is now being run into the ground every week on TV. McMahon is described as being completely on hands with it recently, spending a lot of time blocking out exactly how he wanted McIntyre to handle the sword and use it to set up his pyro. Maybe it's just because the sword actually belongs to Vince and he just wants to play with it, as it was, true story, a gift from Stephanie and Triple H. Slow cookers, people! Acceptable gifts to family members are slow cookers! Bought so goddamn many in the Black Friday sales. Interestingly, another piece of creative that met more resistance is the opening segment on this week's Raw. It saw Randy Orton figure out Alexa Bliss was the Fiend's weakness, which PW Insider claimed was 100% Vince McMahon's vision. Wrestling Observer Radio has reiterated that WWE see the Fiend and Bliss as babyfaces in this feud, and using Orton as the master heel will help turn them both babyface over the next few weeks ahead of their planned match at TLC. But PW Insider has reported several argued against the segment, feeling it was a weak opening segment and needed to be overhauled, but you can't overrule City Hall. Save us, Triple H. You're our only hope. Enter the self-styled savior of WWE, NXT Daddy Triple H, who, if you're in any doubt about his ambitions, literally calls his pay-per-views takeovers. It might be more subtle to call them the old man can't last much longers. While Pritchard has been in control of both main roster brands since Paul Heyman's removal as Raw Executive Director, Triple H has stepped in to help produce shows over the last 2 months. His influence has already reportedly been felt on SmackDown's top Sasha Banks and Bayley and the Roman Reigns family storylines. And PW Insider is reporting he also took over on this week's Raw while Pritchard was away, which was described by several WWE sources as a breath of fresh air. WrestlingNews.co added that Triple H has been at a few SmackDown shows in recent weeks too, where he's been praised for easing the tense atmosphere apparently created by McMahon and Pritchard. Hunter takes time to talk to everyone and calm people down because there is so much paranoia backstage. It's not the same feeling with Bruce. This paranoia is apparently because many on the WWE roster are becoming frustrated with their lack of TV time, which in turn makes them worried they could be next on the chopping block if WWE decides to release more people. While there are no reported plans for any further cuts, the lack of touring live events has meant a lot of wrestlers a surplus to requirements. It hasn't helped that WWE are more strictly enforcing one of the most important parts of live TV production. Time cues. PW Insider adds that a number of talents went overtime in recent weeks at the Survivor Series pay-per-view and subsequent TV shows, which has brought heat from management not just on the wrestlers, but the producers in charge of those segments. This might not be connected, but in that same PW Insider report, they noted Sanjay Dutt has now been moved from the main roster to work full-time on NXT as a producer, while the furloughed producer Shane Helms made his backstage return at this week's Raw. Two wrestlers have also seemingly been kicked off the main roster. Which means it's time to start our brand new feature. Yes, this actually happened in 2020. Raw Underground. Remember that? It had strippers, and it was While Raw Underground's Dabba Kato and Arturo Rouse have been backstage on Monday nights in recent weeks, PW Insider writes WWE officials think they still need additional seasoning before they are introduced as full-fledged Raw performers. But with all that backstage tension, it's important to note that WWE can be a great place to work too. WWE recently released their Vice President of TV Technology, Kevin Quinn, who has taken part in a fascinating Ask Me Anything session on Reddit, providing a rare glimpse into the production side of the company. He said Stephanie was a dream to work with, and while last-minute changes were, in all caps, very common, Vince is very personable behind the scenes, but business is business, and he fully accepts the company's decision to release him because of pandemic-related reasons. On the mysterious head of production, Kevin Dunn, Quinn said, "If you can figure him out, you can work well with him and he appreciates you," and that the position itself was very well paid and had tremendous benefits. But what was the most difficult experience in his 30+ years at the company? Quinn revealed the craziest thing he had to edit out was removing Jerry Lawler from every shot of a pre-recorded 3-hour program after he was accused of statutory rape. And editing the episode following Chris Benoit's double murder-suicide was unsurprisingly difficult. But fascinatingly, for all you nerds out there, not me, Quinn said the biggest technical challenge wasn't the transition from standard definition to HD, which many in the industry at the time feared would expose people not actually taking some of the moves. You're exposing the business technological advances! But the switch from mono audio to stereo. I thought that was really interesting. WWE is looking to the past for their next innovation, though, actually having human beings live in attendance. The very reliable WrestleVotes has tweeted, internally, WWE is said to want a decision on whether fans are permitted for the Royal Rumble by January the 7th, with a possible announcement of sorts coming that weekend. Source states odds are 50-50 right now, important month ahead. Adding January 31st is the currently scheduled date for the pay-per-view. The venue will presumably be the Thunderdome's new location of Tropicana Field, which WWE will start broadcasting from with next Friday's SmackDown. But before then, we've got a far bigger WWE return. The Slammies. In a tweet promoting the WWE Network schedule for December, the 2020 Slammy Awards is listed, making its return for the first time in 5 years. Presumably, this will be a separate show to Raw or SmackDown, where the winners have been announced in the past. WWE aren't the only wrestling promotion making plans for next year, though, as here's a stats man, Tony Khan, all the gimmicks, has teased several wrestling developments for 2021. First up is the long-teased Trios Championships, which Kenny Omega prematurely announced on the Jericho Cruise back in January. Khan confirmed, yes, there is talk, but it won't be in 2020. If it happens, it will most likely be in 2021. I've been seriously thinking about it. I think there's a lot of momentum. We have a lot of great Trios teams. Tony went on to say the period between January's Beach Break and February's Revolution pay-per-view is when he's currently looking at debuting the belts. Who do you think should be the inaugural champions? Tell me why it involves John Silver in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. Khan also added that the weekly YouTube show AEW Dark is also in line for some major changes, with him seriously considering splitting it into different shows. One which would function as a developmental program for new, younger signees, and another which would focus on the more established talent that don't get used on Dynamite. Tonight we'll see AEW's huge Winter is Coming special, arguably the biggest episode in the promotion's history, which will be main evented by Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship, where Khan has said TNT is willing to let Dynamite overrun past 10 PM if it's still going on. Charlotte Flair has buried a WWE star. Click the video on the right to find out who, and how would Adam Blompier book the SmackDown hacker? Click the video below that to watch it now, and make WrestleTalk.com your homepage for all the latest breaking wrestling news. I've been Mr. Davis. Jam that jam.